YouTube, we're here with something special, something amazing, something that's in a box. It's going to be amazing. You just wait and see. And it's going to be amazing. It's fairly timely this year because for those of you procrastinators out there, it's a good gift idea. And I actually got this for myself a while back. And we've been a little busy with stuff. Look at this, guys. I ordered this on Thursday, Thanksgiving, and I had it on Saturday afternoon. So mine even got there on Saturday morning. And I'm excited to unbox it for you. Oh yeah! It's the Vapor UMX Lite HP. I'm not sure what all that's, high performance.
Oh.
And then I got some other papers in here. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, it looks like just the invoice. And then, ooh, look at that. They sent that stuff with it, trying to get me to buy more stuff. Not doing it. So this thing flies on a 1S battery. It is a bind and fly. So for those of you who have already a radio system, this is DX18 Gen 1. You could be using a significantly cheaper radio system. You can also get this in a ready to fly as well. So it'd come with your batteries and everything. And this is unboxings for Horizon Hobby. Airplanes are some of the best, the UMXs, because they are literally open up the box and you'll be flying. Okay guys, let's check out how it's packed. Packaging here, taped down. This thing is super light duty, guys. Look how big that is. Compared to the Inum, which has mysteriously survived all these years. I mean, I've glued this thing together a bunch of times, repaired the wheels, all sorts of stuff, redone the battery system. Look how much bigger it is, Megan.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. It's got to be double as big. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see how it performs because this thing is a fun plane. And for $40, I've been, and that's just a regular price, I believe, $40. I've been living with that for many, many moons. It was one of my original planes, actually.
It's like 4 years old.
Yeah. I've been flying for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Almost.
Almost 4 years, not
Christmas.
quite. Okay, so it's extremely delicate. I feel like I'm pulling some sort of like a moth out of here. So I'm like kind of having trouble getting to the bottom of the tape to untape it. Why don't you give them a shot of this? Normally the tape is a little easier to grab. I had to reach way down in there to get this pulled up. One thing about planes that are super small like this, the UMX lineup, it's really nice. Jeez, that is just extremely small. This looks to be the same prop that they use on, no it's not, it's smaller. That is a dinky prop and it's got a squishy nose cone, brushed motor, gearbox, quick disconnect, so if you have a failure of the motor you can replace that. There's where the battery plugs in. And the thing I like about this plane is it's got a rudder and an elevator servo. So you have 2 axes of control in addition to the throttle. Whereas with the Inum, you only have throttle and a rudder. So you tip the plane and that induces a roll with the dihedral of the wings. Okay, so the same is going to be true on this with the exception of the fact that it is just extremely light. In fact, we're going to get the scale set up and we'll show you just how light it is. Okay, so I didn't want to make you guys think I was trying to pull a fast one. I'm going to get to the manual. If you get a Horizon product, many times they're taped to the bottom, especially on the UMX lineup, which stands for ultra-micro if you're new to this. This plane seems like it's going to be a pretty awesome plane, but I'm a little bit concerned if you're getting this for your kids, it is extremely delicate, wouldn't you say?
It looks like it.
So if you have kids that are extremely careful with stuff, then go for it. But if you have a normal human child that's not a robot, you may want to go with something more like the Inum. Plus the Inum is actually, I don't know, I don't want to say it's easy to fly because it's not really that easy to fly, but it's fun to fly. Okay, so here's the manual. We are going to weigh these things. I just wanted to show you where to find the manual. When you're dealing with E-flite, Horizon Hobby, they just tell you all this stuff. It's really handy. This is the Batman controller. So if you get the ready to fly, it would come with that. In my case, I'm going to be binding my DX18 to it. It shows you which direction everything should go. And what you normally want to do is you want to just follow the regular setup that they tell you. If you're binding your own existing radio system, now they call for a 70 milliamp hour 1S pack. I'm assuming you can run a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. 70 would probably be about the minimum. And I just have, you know, if anybody has these little 1S packs, they've got a million of these little ones. I got a bunch of 130s. I've even got one of the little dinky ones. And this is probably what I'll use. This is a 60 milliamp hour, but it's 45 through 90C, 3.7. This is a Nanotech. It's from Hobby King. We'll probably start with that so it's nice and light. And then we'll move up to a 130. And then we have 180s, and we'll just kind of see how it performs. These things are notoriously crappy batteries. The connectors don't hold up well. So just be prepared for that. Luckily, they're very cheap. They're like $1 or something. If you buy them from Horizon Hobby, you're going to be spending to the tune of maybe $4 or $5. There is not a difference in quality. Okay, guys? There is not. They're made literally in the same plants. Just trust me on this. I'm going to keep that one this time. So let's measure these on a scale real quick. And what I'm going to use for a scale is just your run-of-the-mill kitchen scale. So high quality. Okay, so I'm going to measure my Inum. My Inum supposedly was like 8 grams when it came. So this is in kilos. So of course it's going to be a decimal value of a kilo. So I'm up at 12 grams without battery. Okay, let's measure this thing. I bet it's going to be less. Significantly less. Gosh, it's so small. Here, tripod. So it's 10 grams, but look how much bigger it is.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's huge. So what we're going to do is we're going to get stuff cleared out of the way and get this thing ready to fly. Okay, guys, so just looking at the manual real quick. This has the AS3X, believe it or not, and which is stabilization, and I'll explain that as we look further. This manual does not include any specifications for setup on a bind and fly radio system, okay? So in our case, any DSM-2, DSM-X system would be acceptable. So they're going to teach you how to do the setup and the binding using the transmitter that would come in the ready to fly. This is not ready to fly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through here. We're going to go to system setup. Yes, model select, go all the way to the bottom of the list. I have 61 models in my DX18. We're going to create a new one. Okay, then we're going to go to model name, and we're going to name it. So we will pause it once I'll start this. It's just a vapor, so I will have my camera crew pause the video while we do this. Okay. All right, so we've got vapor UMX in there, and that's basically simple. You just hit back, and then aircraft type. You're going to do a normal wing and a normal tail. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, but there's not a normal wing on this because there's no ailerons. Well, ironically enough, I believe there may actually be an aileron port on this receiver for one, and for two, if it is, you can't see it very good because look how tight this is. It's mounted with its position so it's pointed upward, okay? Also, I'm just noticing on mine that the antenna is going to engage this. It's going to engage this, it's the rudder linkage. So I'm just going to rearrange that antenna. And I want to put it down by the body a little bit. But you got to keep in mind that this non-diversity antenna, there's only one antenna. This is carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is supposed to potentially absorb RF. So, I mean, you're not talking about a long range in here, especially inside of a building. You're going to be able to bounce off the walls with your radio frequencies. Okay, so we're doing normal wing type. Then you'll just go to back to the beginning. Okay, it resets. We got a timer on there. I'm not even going to worry about the timer. I'm going to set up a throttle cut just so you guys can see how to do it. Throttle cut, inhibit. I'm going to set it to this switch. Okay, then it's negative 130. I want to set that to negative 100. And then I can look over here, see how the throttle's not moving. Now it's moving. Okay, so throttle is allowed to, in monitor mode, to work. Okay, so that gives us the ability to protect our fingertips. With this hobby, if you're buying this for one of your kids, that would be a good idea. Granted, if you're buying this for your kid and they've got a DX18, they probably know how to do that. So there's a piece of Velcro here. I'm just gonna grab this little battery. It's got a little bit of Velcro on it already. We'll go ahead and stick that to the Velcro and see if it works. These Velcros are always a little bit different. It does appear to be holding. If it's not perfect, I'm gonna use a little black zip tie, and that's it. I'm just gonna wrap it around and just slide the batteries in. Okay, this thing is extremely delicate, and it makes me nervous that I'm gonna damage it. So I'm gonna hold the battery while I plug it in. Okay, so now I'm gonna lay it down. My radio system is off now. RF is off. I'm gonna hold the bind. I'm gonna power it on. Watching the flashy light. It's binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry. There's telemetry on this? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Okay, so it's bound. Elevator. Oh, look at the cute little elevator. And then the rudder is actually set up on the aileron servo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly run in here and I'm gonna do a quick mix so that I have aileron to rudder. I'm gonna turn that on and I'm gonna turn it to, oops, that's backward. Sorry guys. I'm gonna inhibit that back. I meant to do that this way. Normal. I wanna make aileron to rudder. I'm just gonna go 100% for now, and then we can fiddle with that later. You don't have to do this, but it's just, if you've got muscle memory for flying airplanes, I like to keep it this way. And it's gonna actually be rudder to aileron. See? See now, no matter which way I do it. Okay? So no matter which thumb I decide to use, I just want to make sure it's going the right way real quick. Okay? So that's that way, which is going to roll the plane, and it's going to yaw the plane. And then that is going to yaw the plane or roll the plane. Elevator is going to pull the nose up. Elevator down is going to push it down. Okay? And then throttle cut is on, but let's test it. See, it's not moving. This thing is so small, I don't want it to damage itself. Okay? So I'm just going to hold it for the first test. Throttle. That's got a lot of power. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and fly right now. That's how quick it is. And yes, this video probably took 3 times as long as it would have taken you guys to pull this out of the box and be flying. Out of my model settings, I got a 5-minute timer. Wowzers. That is amazingly powerful and yet very, very poorly trimmed out of the box. So we'll go ahead and try this again. Need tons of right trim. There we go. Oh man, that thing is, wow, that is really easy to fly, guys. It's very powerful, like very powerful. I'm not used to this with the Inum. The Inum, you're like always fighting against, you know, getting the thing to be quick enough to keep flying. But then you can hover this thing, look. That is so cool. And you can do a lot of high alpha and just really, you can really get that thing doing just, got tons of power. You can make it a Christmas ornament if you're really careful. I probably wouldn't want to get hit in the face by that. What do you think, hon?
Yeah, I'm thinking not so much.
It's so light it just doesn't damage itself. Whoops, see? Now we've gone up on the cabinets. And so this is the sort of thing that you'll run into with a plane like this. And I think part of the problem is the CG might be a little bit off. They had a 50 millimeter CG, which is pretty much the wide part of the wing. And I think we're actually not too far off. I'm gonna just move the battery back just a hair. It's actually slides on the carbon fiber rod, so I'm gonna take off again. Ready?
Yeah, I was gonna try and get a different angle.
Okay. I'm just getting a little bit aggressive with the throttle is the only thing. I almost need Expo. It's kind of weird because it's so touchy. Oh, no!
I'm the tree.
So we're gonna see if it'll take off from the carpet. Didn't figure it would, and it didn't. So, ooh, you know why we crashed that time?
Why?
Because we hit low voltage warning, I think.
Oh.
Guys, you gotta forgive my crappy battery.
Yeah.
So you can fly it fast too. I love that there's that LED on the back. It needs like a red and green LED for the navigation lights. What do you think, huh?
It's pretty cool.
I like it because it's not just Inum style flying. You can actually do some stuff with it.
Might have to like fly the Inum.
Yeah.
Just for
I'll fly
comparison.
the Inum here in a second, but let's do a loop first. That's something you could definitely not
Nope.
do with the Inum. That's low voltage warning.
Oh,
son of a gun.
almost.
So, now that you guys have seen it fly, let's see if we can fly it with a bigger pack. And this would be a good time to talk about charging. Let's talk about charging, the most boring part of the video. Next to unboxing. Okay, so now that this is bound, we won't need to rebind this every time. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I wanna show the people how to do this, because this is such a delicate plane. You really gotta support this connector here.
Hold on. Okay.
And then pull out, okay? Because we all know that that's an important step in many different things. Come over here. Okay, so this is the charger that you would normally get if you were getting it ready to fly, okay? You slide it in to the E-flite charger and it charges your battery. It's very simple, but you have to be careful because this is designed on the input side to receive 5 volts at 350 milliamps, okay? Over here, I have an old Kodak. This was for a camera that we had, right?
Digital camera.
And so the output is, okay, so this is at 5 volts. At 5 volts is gonna be at 1 amp, okay? So that's gonna be well within the specifications here. I mean, you don't wanna go crazy overboard on these things because, you know, if you have too much power to these, you'll kill them. And some of the more current chargers are gonna be quite a bit more output. So just keep that in mind. The other thing too you can do, if you charge a lot of these batteries, and I do, is you can make a parallel charger so you can charge multiple ones at a time. You have to charge the same size and the same condition lipos at the same time, and you can charge them in parallel. So you just make a bunch of females, they go to one male. I happen to have a JST connector in here so that I can then adapt this to my regular balance chargers, which that's a story for another day. And yes, I actually can use that charger to charge these things. But normally I will just do it this way. You can also buy stuff like this that's gonna charge 4 of them at a time. I've not found this to work well. I don't know, at one point it worked okay, and I was using this E-flite 12 volt DC adapter, and there's your part number thing. But it's 12 volts at 1.5 amps. So it's enough to charge several of them at a time. The big and the critical detail, this one came with the adapter. Neither of them have worked well for me. So I've just gotten away from it. It does have like a green and red light to tell you as they're charging.
They are easy, like for our kid to use.
For kids, yeah.
Because
for
it's
kids
easy
to
for him to
use.
see when they're done.
So if you don't have all that and you just want to do them one at a time, these do generally work. I say work. I prefer this because it's easier on the packs. They tend to last a little bit longer if you can charge them really slow. And if you charge like 5 of these at a time, they're going to charge slower, okay? Just the way of the world. So I'll just show you how it works real quick. You plug it in, okay? You don't have to have this into the outlet. There's not a certain order to it, but I'll just show you what happens. If you have it already if it's already plugged in, it's gonna go to red. When it's done, the red light goes out, okay? You can plug it in that way, or you can plug it in like this. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you that it's not gonna hurt anything. This will go out when it's done, right? If it's on for like 6 hours and it's still red, then your pack is probably junk, okay? Don't freak out, it's only a couple dollars. If you get into this hobby, believe me, you're gonna spend a lot more on lipos than that. So now let's go to a better pack. We're gonna use Electron Pro. This is Electron Pro, 3.7 volts, just like they all are. 180 milliamp hours, so it's quite a bit bigger pack. And of course, this is a 45C pack. So these guys make decent packs. They're all pretty crappy though. I'm just gonna warn you. Don't expect the world from these things, okay? It's the worst part of a UMX with a 1S configuration is gonna be this. Okay, now remember this has AS3X, it does not have safe. Safe would automatically level. Stabilization will help to stabilize from environmental impact, like the fan running or somebody walking by or the neighbor yelling loud since this thing is so small. So I've got the Velcro on there. I'm just gonna check the CG. This is quite a bit bigger pack. So we're gonna see how this works. Elevator, rudder. Okay, you good?
Yep.
Throttle cuts off. Oh yeah, you gotta fly a lot quicker with this pack, but it's actually, I feel like it's easier to fly because it flies forward some. I felt like before it wanted to always tip up, probably because I was just a little bit on the tail heavy side. But you could never do that with the Interim. This is cool. It's actually fun. Because now it's like flying a regular plane, and it feels like I have ailerons, guys. This thing rolls, the roll rate is just perfect for the rudder. It's a very good analog to flying a plane outside when you put a bigger pack in this thing. In fact, it makes me want to get a 200 or 300 milliamp pack out and just see how we look. So let's land it. Okay, so you'll notice one other thing. The landing gear are the reason why the prop didn't start on the carpet. These landing gear are extremely weak. Look at this, guys. This pack is heavy enough that it wants to splay them out like that. So if you're gonna do a bigger pack, you may wanna talk about hand launching, okay? So the other thing I wanna show you real quick is that this battery can slide. So you can change your CG a little bit. If you wanna do loops and stuff like that, it's much easier with the CG back. Okay, so that slows it down significantly, guys, with the same amount of power. So basically, if you get your CG, you can just play with your CG to see how fast you want your plane to go. But you're still gonna bear the same amount of, now I'm going like almost to tail heavy here. So this is intentionally tail heavy. And as you can see, it's extremely slow, almost wants to be in a high alpha configuration all the time. And I mean, this thing flies really nicely, guys. It's a little bit tricky at first, but just look how good that looks. I could probably set the trim and just do the autopilot like I do with the Interim.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Upside down flight, that was sweet. Oh, trying to make an ornament out of it. So the other thing I've noticed that I wasn't expecting is that this thing holds up to some wear, I mean, it's getting crashed around, and because it's so light, it just gets out of the way. The Interim didn't break unless you really crashed it hard. I'm assuming this thing would probably do the same thing. Let's slide the battery back even further. I mean, I'm gonna go like super aggressive. This is probably gonna make it flip over. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. I just love that it's so capable. I'm really impressed with this plane, guys. And I did not expect to be. I got this on sale for Black Friday special, and they're probably gonna run specials again on this thing. But it is extremely fun. I would say it's way more fun than the Interim. Now that being said, my wife did make a good point. I should probably show you the Interim quick. I've done videos on the Interim. The Interim is in the same size class as, this would be more like the Interim Elite, but the Interim Elite basically flies like a small UMX. It's just fast. It's not, you certainly couldn't fly it in this living room. No. It's way too heavy. It probably weighs about, I would say, 10 times this. So let's just go ahead and jump right into that, and we'll see. This is a Fly Zone product. It's not a Horizon Hobby product. They're competitive, obviously. Okay, throttle's down. You turn on the radio. We're just gonna fly it with 130 milliamp pack. This thing doesn't do as good with the bigger packs. I put a little extension cable on there so that I can put the battery up on top and really impact the CG. This one does not have AS3X. Let's see how it does. Okay, so once the light goes solid, you're pretty much good to go. The light is currently solid. Are you good, hon?
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, this one, you gotta really play with it until the battery is located right. When they come new out of the box, the battery's supposed to go here. It's very small. It's only 100 milliamp hour. I've configured it so it can be up here, and then you can fly it in more of a high alpha setup. See, and that's one of the big drawbacks with the Inum, is that you have to build up enough speed. And I'll be honest, guys, I can take this thing off from the island and land on the island, and that's one of the fun things that we do. I like wheels up, wheels down. So, meaning I take off and I land. I don't just hand launch it. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it flies decent, but you end up crashing into your family a lot with this plane. I mean, and I'm not trying to be a smart aleck.
It just is.
It's just, you crash into your family a lot with this thing. It's very fun, but you see how it's very, very, very slowly, maybe creeping altitude up just a little bit. You're constantly trying to balance efficiency so that you can trade off some altitude for power being converted into some, see?
Yep.
This is the type of thing. And if you have a wife that tolerates this, then you're very lucky, which I am. This is the Inum, okay? It's very fun, but I paid the same amount for this. Now this is ready to fly, so there's a little bit of a difference. This thing's a little bit more when you get it in a ready to fly setup. And landing this thing is a lot harder on the island. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to this. This is why you guys are watching. So, and I don't think that it's a completely fair comparison because the technology in this plane is significantly newer. I'm using a better radio system. I'm using a bigger battery. I have a suitably sized room for both. I mean, this is actually a fun plane, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I'm really happy with it. Guys, one other thing too to keep in mind is that this plane is significantly bigger, but it's flying better. It's flying this room a lot better. All right, I gotta do another loop here. Oh, that was a crappy loop, guys. I will do better. I'm gonna do better. Kind of funny, when it's tail heavy, it does loops worse. You would think it would do them really good. Oh, son of a gun. Let's see what happened. Did I kill it? No, I didn't. Okay. So far, I'm impressed with the ruggedness.
You know where it's going to be super cool.
What? You talking about at the new property?
Yeah.
And by the way, I have the control rods in the outermost position right now. So that means that I could take and put the control rods into the innermost position for even more output. Let's show the people what we're talking about.
Okay.
As you can see, this 130 milliamp hour pack, if they were new and pristine, which mine are far from it, this thing would fly forever. Okay, so as you can see, oh, it's not in the outside hole, it's in the middle hole on the elevator, and it's on the outermost hole on the rudder. So if I were to move that to the innermost hole, then the output at full deflection would be greater, which means you would be able to yaw and roll the plane much more, okay? I think it would be a slightly less fun experience to get hit with this one. There's a loop. I just feel like even though it's faster, or it's capable of being faster, I could set the throttle limits and really kind of protect this thing from itself, you know? Because I'm flying right now at about 50% throttle, no problems. You've got elevator. It's so different because you have 3 axes of control and you have more throttle than you need. It's just something you didn't have on the Inum. And you certainly, on the Inum Elite, which is a complete joke. If you guys are thinking about getting the Inum Elite, please go buy a Horizon Hobby, any of the UMX, any of them. I mean, any of them will be way better because the Inum Elite sucks. It's just not any good at all, and it's ugly. The Inum Elite is junk, but the Inum is cool. It's a fun little plane. It's a good little beginner plane, and it's cheap. The only good thing about the Inum Elite is the fact that, you know, you have a YouTube channel and you review radio controlled airplanes, and you can review it. But only to tell people it sucks. Oh, buddy, did we crash it? Is it broken yet? Is it broken? Oh no! Guys, I broke one of the landing gear off. Where did it go?
I don't know.
Okay, so in closing,
There it is.
that is an extremely small piece of carbon fiber. And I actually didn't break it. I think it came out. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. I think it just came out, hon. It's so hard to see. Can you see that? Let's go where we have better light. Let's pause it.
Okay.
Okay, as with many Christmas presents that you will get this year, especially if you're like me, I have broken the leg. But the good news is there's still room in this little slot to slip this in and just drop a drip of CA. And it will literally be twice as good as new, okay? That's all there is to it. It's gonna take me like 3 seconds, but I am not done with you yet. I'm flying this thing with one broken landing gear and I'm gonna land it. Just for extra awesomeness. Because I really like flying this thing, it's fun. It is a little bit side loaded where that landing gear is. That's how light this thing is. Oh, look at that, guys. That's a jungle landing. It's cool because it just doesn't damage it.
Yeah.
Except for when you like go full bore into the ground, then you damage it. I'm gonna go ahead and slide that back just a hair and we're gonna take off again. Oh, and you see how my battery is sideways like that? If you were to center that, you'd get maybe slightly better performance so that it's even with the fuse. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. Guys, I just don't want to quit flying it. It's so much fun. And you know what's so nice about this right now? If it were 100-mile-an-hour winds outside, we could still be flying this inside. And you don't need to have a palatial mansion for this. I mean, we have a decent-sized living room, but there's people with much bigger living rooms. You could fly this in the gymnasium easily and really enjoy it. And you can just really have a good time. There you go, guys. As usual, off the table. So in closing, check it out. Definitely fun. Definitely if it's on sale like it was, which I'm guessing it's probably not now. Cool plane, really cool. You should definitely think about getting one for yourself. I think you will love it, just like I do. And I have a lot of planes, so my wife can attest to that. Mm-hmm. Guys, thanks for enduring. We've been doing a lot of build stuff. As you can see out here, we've got stuff laid out, and then all those boxes are like fans and light fixtures and things like this. They're going to be in the new house. So we appreciate you enduring. We got one more quick gift idea sort of video coming to you in the next 4 or 5 days, and we hope that you will consider getting one of these. Really fun. Check the links in the description below. If you buy from the link, you help support the channel financially, and we love doing it. We're not going to quit. By the way, we haven't stopped. It's just that we're really, really, really busy with the house now. With that, we appreciate you. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for watching.